Good afternoon, I think, to most of you. Good morning to some of you. For those of you who I don't know, my name is Jennifer Rozzoni. I'm a magistrate judge here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've been here in this role for about 3 years. Before that, I was a prosecutor, and before that, I did civil defense. So I've done all that. But the reason that I believe Judge Tortea asked me or Cece also asked me to present today was because I actually have a background in yoga. As some of you may know, I teach yoga at the FMJA conferences. That that was because when we did our baby judge school, actually, Doug was in baby judge school with me, as was Karen, who I saw here. They ask you to say something about yourself that no one really knows. And so I got up and just said, I teach yoga once a week, which I still do. And Jim Cook latched on to that. And somehow I have now been teaching yoga for the last 3 years at the FMJA conferences. So I'm very happy to do that. Beyond I have 500 hours Yoga Alliance training. So I've spent a lot of time learning about yoga. I got into yoga probably because I've always been physically active. None of this is to say that that's what this is going to be necessarily all about. But before yoga, I was a runner. I still run. And before that, I swam in high school and college. So physical activity has always been something that I have turned to just frankly, obviously for the physical benefits, but really a lot for the mental benefits that they provide. And I'm hoping that I can talk to you all about that today. So as we start, and I will say, I know we're at February 2nd, and I know that part of this presentation was to talk to you about a nice way to start 2026. What I want to do is actually emphasize to you that you don't have to have a New Year's resolution that you unfortunately break, 2 or 3 weeks into the year. I think that you can truly make a resolution anytime, any place, any day. Every day that you wake up, you can come up with a plan and things for you to do. So whether it's at the beginning of the month, the beginning of the week, Monday, today, there's always something for you to get up and do. So just because you've made a resolution on January 1 that you haven't necessarily followed through on, I just want to emphasize that you can always come back to that resolution. It doesn't mean that it's done forever. The other thing I wanted to say is a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today is information that you probably all know in some way, but I've just culled it down. But my hope is that you are able to take at least one or two things with you after this that perhaps you can use moving forward in your wellness journey, and making sure that you are the best that you can be, not only on the bench, frankly, but also for your family and your friends, because they are just important and they are the people who support you and help you to be the best judge that you can be. So with that, I will move on to my first slide. So the physical reality of our work. It sounds funny that I would say that there's a physical reality of our work, but there actually is. There are physical demands of sitting at a desk all day or sitting on the bench all day. We spend hours sitting, particularly when we're in the courtroom, where we're maintaining stillness and composure while our minds are working furiously. And that really does take a toll. We spend hours seated, and you are having to be very composed while your mind and crazy things are going on in your head, typically. And that takes a toll on your body. And so we need to be mindful of that. We're not moving around a lot, but there is still a toll that is taken in terms of the job that we do, the sitting that we do, and that kind of thing. There are common physical challenges in our role. I'm sure that all of you have experienced regular back tension, regular neck tension. These are not necessarily signs of aging or weakness. They're predictable results of the work that we do, our sitting, sometimes our standing. I like to call it like a frozen attentiveness. Our chin is forward, our shoulders are hunched, maybe our breath is shallow. I don't know if any of that sounds familiar to you, but tends to be kind of where we find ourselves a lot of the time. We all feel it in different places. Like I said, lower back pain, neck and shoulder tension, shallow breathing, jaw clenching. I mean, I know a lot of people who have night guards because they're constantly clenching and they're wrecking their teeth as a result. Even fatigue, just being tired. There really is a mind-body connection between what we do and our physical body and our mental body. Truly, physical health matters. Physical tension impairs our mental clarity. It does. Again, in this presentation, I don't have the scientific data, but if you Google any of this, I promise you will find support for all of what I'm saying today. Because I've looked at it, I've heard it, I see it. And frankly, I think we're all old enough. I'm not aging any of us here, but I think we're all old enough to know that these are truths and fundamental truths. Physical tension impairs your mental clarity. Discomfort in our physical body will degrade your decision-making process. And frankly, your body and your mind are inseparable. So just keep that in mind every day as you work through, how you're feeling in your body versus how you're feeling in your mind and the decisions that you're having to make each day. So there are immediate changes that you can make. So right now, if you want, go ahead and put your feet flat on the ground. Maybe they're not there now, but put them there. Be aware of how you're seated. So notice your posture. If your feet aren't flat on the ground already, do it. If you want, make your spine a little bit longer, extend the crown of your head to the ceiling, maybe roll back your shoulders a little bit, and maybe open and close through your jaw. I'm not saying you necessarily do this on the bench, the opening and closing. People may think that you've got something wrong, but do it maybe before, just to take a deep breath, roll your shoulders back, make your spine long before you walk out into the courtroom. And this can be something that's done even just sitting at your desk, say every hour or so. When you make those changes, those slight physical changes, your breath is going to deepen naturally. And these types of just movements and awareness are things that you can do throughout the day and are going to help you be in the right frame of mind. By the way, I don't know if I said this, but if any of you have any questions, feel free to yell them out as we walk through this, because I'm happy to try to answer them. I don't always have the answers, but I can take an educated guess, and B, I can try to find an answer for you if I don't have it. So I just want to throw that out there for you. So beyond physical discomfort, our bodies carry the emotional weight of the work that we do. So how we are feeling in our head, just like I was talking about earlier, the connection between the head and the heart, essentially, has an effect on the body. So what do we deal with on a regular basis? We deal with difficult human situations. We deal with decisions that profoundly impact lives. I think when I came into this job, I had been an AUSA for almost 15 years. I argued for detention in almost every case, depending on what was happening. There are a few that you don't, and situations that you feel are appropriate for release. But the impact on the person who had to make that decision, I never really took I just never really understood it, I should say, until I found myself making that decision. And there is an effect on your body having to make really highly charged, highly emotional decisions. And having to do that over and over again leads to an accumulation effect. And so what happens is as judges, we can't really show an external reaction. So what we do is we internalize all of those emotions and we push them down. And I guarantee you that our body is continually keeping score. So let me go to our next slide here. Certain signs of how that stress affects our body. And I'm sure that all of you have experienced at least some of this. Sleep problems, digestive issues, irritability, emotional numbness or emotional overwhelm. And then finally, that physical tension and pain. For me, it shows up in my low back. I can tell you that's where, if I'm really stressed, I feel it. I feel it when I'm sitting. I feel it when I'm standing. And I feel it when I'm in a yoga class. It's just things are just harder when I've got a lot weighing on me emotionally. So and this is my one slide. I will say I was doing my best when I was making this PowerPoint to make this PowerPoint, as they say, with very short, concise words and phrases. But this PowerPoint goes against all of that because I wanted you all to have the information if you want it. There are various types of breath exercises that can help just reduce that tension in the moment. And I put in some of the Sanskrit just if you want it. Pranayama is the breath work that is used in yoga. The word yoga is bringing together the mind and the body. So that's the idea. And you bring it together with breath. And so we often combine pranayama with the physical, which is the asana practice, as well as meditation. I'm sure you've heard of the breath techniques that are used in many meditation practices. So I'm going to go through just a few breath techniques, and then we're actually going to try a breath technique for you to use. It's very simple, and we can all do it together. So first, there's Ujjayi breath. This is a technique it's typically used in your asana practice. It's how you move and create shapes, inhaling and exhaling with different movements. But it's very intentional in the way that you breathe in and out, and you breathe in and out through your nose the entire time. Most of these breathing practices are supposed to be through the nose. I will tell you that many of us have issues. I know we have deviated septums and we have a cold or we have things. So if you have to breathe through your mouth, that's not a problem. But know that most breathing exercises are supposed to be done through the nose. Nadi Shodhana is an alternate, it's a kind of a funny one, nostril breathing, where you hold one nostril closed, inhale, and then hold the other nostril closed and exhale through the other. Inhale, close off, exhale. This is actually incredibly calming. Again, though, if you have a stuffy nose or you have a deviated septum, it can be a little bit more difficult. I can tell you, you definitely need to have a tissue typically during the winter months when you're practicing Nadi Shodhana. 4-7-8 breathing is a little bit more typical. It might be one that you've more heard of. It's breathing in for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, and then exhaling for 8 seconds. It helps, and all of these help to reduce anxiety, and can also, I do it a lot if I'm really having trouble sleeping. I find that it calms down my nervous system significantly. A very similar breathing exercise is box breathing. This is actually even easier than the 4-7-8 breathing. And this is the one we're going to try here in a moment. But essentially, you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and then hold for 4 seconds. So this is a little illustration of what box breathing looks like.
Okay.
So as we were saying, I'm going to do the counting, and we're going to go through 5 times. If you don't want to do it, I get it. You can do it on your own. But I would like you to try, because one thing that And I know that if you're here, you tend to be open to this, and I appreciate you being here. The people who are not here may not be so open to this. But I do want you to take a little bit of a moment and just think about how you're feeling right now. And then we're going to do this box breathing for 5 cycles. And then I want you to take a moment and kind of just feel what you feel in your body after that. It may be that you feel totally the same, but it may be that you find yourself a slightly more calm, or just a little bit more relaxed through your muscles. So, as you are ready, I want you to just take a moment. Um, take that stock of how you're feeling, and then let's inhale for 4 counts starting now. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
All right. I've got one response. How are you feeling, Judge Sanderson?
Oh, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did,
I need to introduce myself to you all. Uh, I am actually retired, but I always like to see and visit with magistrate judges. I served for 31 years here on the Northern District of Texas, and I was president of the Federal Magistrate Judges Association back in the late 90s. I have been retired now for 15 years.
oh my
So
gosh.
I don't think that my time on the bench has been destructive to my good health. So I hope that all of you all are enjoying as much good health as you possibly can. But I always enjoy hearing new ideas. So, Jennifer, I thank you very much.
Well, of course, and thank you for being here. I think it's important for everyone, from people who are just on the bench to people who have been retired for 15 years. I mean, this is all stuff, as you I'm sure know, that you can use, whether you're a judge or no matter what you do, whether you're a father or a mom, or it's something that everybody can use, I think, and provides benefit for sure. Um, so I hope that I mean, I always feel like the breathing feels a little odd, and a little strange, but as the more you do it, I do think that it becomes more natural and it feels less weird. And I do think, and I know that it has benefits on your nervous system. I often, like I said, I often take 2 or 3 really big breaths before I go out on the bench, just to try to calm myself down. Maybe the rest of you have been doing this long enough that there aren't any butterflies in your stomach, but there are always for me. And I think it's important just to kind of bring yourself down a little bit before you walk out there. So This is one of the ways that you can do it. Again, this is also good for if you're having trouble sleeping. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. So the big thing here is building resilience. And the one thing that I want to say is sometimes people aren't even aware of the stress that they have. And so to the extent that you can identify that stress and become aware, then you can implement practices that are going to help you make that mind body connection and let you really thrive, not only as a judge, but also as a human being. Um, and so, one of the things was in our title was thriving into the new year. And my thought on this is, what does thriving actually mean, right? And it's definitely not just surviving and getting through the day. It's having energy, for what matters in your life. It's being present with your colleagues, with your family, with your friends. It's feeling good in your body, and it's a sustainable excellence. But when I say that, you know, thriving, I also don't mean that you're superhuman, that you do everything right, that you always have energy. But the way you thrive, I think, is just having these tools available and feeling better more than you don't. And so that's the way I look at it, because we all are going to have bad days. We all are going to have things happen in our lives that we can't control and that are going to bring us down, whether that is at work or at home, things we don't have control over. But when you have all of these tools, you can be the best person that you can be in that moment. All right. So there is a power in being grounded and present. Um, I do believe, and I think the studies support that physical grounding supports mental clarity. And again, I come back to breath as an anchor because it really is. And again, this is probably my yoga background, but it is the piece, the yoke that brings together our physical and our mental. And so I always look at breath as an anchor and a way to ground us or ground me when I'm dealing with stressful situations. It allows you to be present. It allows your thoughts to calm down. And as you well know, particularly in our roles, our state affects everyone around you, whether here in the courthouse or at home with your family. So taking care of yourself really does serve everyone at home and at work. And I don't know whether it's because I was raised by a Catholic Irish woman, but self-care was not something that she ever emphasized. um, to self-care, I think, at least my mom, when she was raising me, or my parents, um, it was kind of a selfish thing. And I've learned, I mean, yes, there is selfishness sometimes, but you really do need to take care of yourself, and you need to be healthy first, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Um, it again serves your work, it serves your loved ones, and also you are able to model for other people in your life um, healthy sustainability. And so I think we as judges have a professional and personal responsibility to maintain our wellness to the extent that we can, even in those hard and trying times. Um, one quick slide on a distinction that I think is important, because we do deal with difficult situations. Um, I do believe that we do need to have healthy boundaries with some of the things that we deal with. Those boundaries are necessary, and they allow us to sustain our mental well-being. Um, but if we become emotionally numb to the human beings that we see in front of us, It's certainly protective of us, but it can be costly to the litigants, the attorneys, the people that we have in front of us. And it's just something to keep in mind. So there's a constant balance of staying human while maintaining professionalism. And again, I think that all of the practices that we're talking about help us to maintain the balance that between these two things. So now that we've talked about all of the things that we deal with, I want to get practical about what habits we can try and take in through 2026 and beyond, frankly. And I've kind of culled down the habits that I think help us maintain our wellness to three pillars to being healthy and thriving. One is movement, as we've talked about. The second is our nutrition. And the third is sleep. Again, this is not groundbreaking information, but it's stuff that you just need to keep in the back of your mind as you're living. And when you're not feeling great, like what's happening? Why am I not feeling great? Why was I short with my daughter? Why was I angry with that attorney for doing something that really was just a mistake? And I like to step back and figure out where things are falling down. And it usually results from one of these three things. And I will say, and I will emphasize this going forward, small changes make significant impacts. I am going to give you a ton of information here in the next 30 minutes about all three of these areas. And it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so my challenge for you at the very end is just going to be pick one or pick two things and try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then look at something else. But that's going to be my challenge for you. So there's a lot of different options for you here to think about in terms of your physical and mental well-being and wellness. And so I don't want you to be overwhelmed by all the information I'm going to throw at you here in a second. But beginning with foundation one, that's movement. I promise you I couldn't jump like that if I tried, but I was just trying to emphasize movement. But why does movement matter? I mean, movement matters because frankly, for us, we are constantly sitting for hours, whether it be at our desk or behind, particularly when we're on the bench, if we're, have duty and it goes on for 5 hours in the morning. It helps to counteract those hours of sitting. It also absolutely releases stored stress. Just getting up and walking. We have an atrium here in our courthouse. Just walking a couple of times around, that is just going to help you release, help you bring your shoulders back, help you breathe a little bit more. And so it'll release some of that stored stress. And then also it improves your mood, it improves your sleep, and it improves the way you're thinking, I promise. And I will just say that movement does not require hours or even any time at the gym. So when I'm talking about movement, I'm not talking about running 10 miles or going to the gym and lifting weights for, 90 minutes. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about very doable movement that will keep you in the right frame of mind, both in your body and in your head. So when we're at work, maybe you can try to make some micro movements throughout the day. I actually love this particular one because it's easy and it's something I never thought about. But when the phone rings, stand up. I know lots of us have standing desks, and that's obviously wonderful too. I have a standing desk, and I can say that I've probably lifted it up 10 times in 3 years. So I like to sit. It's what I do. And if you like to sit, maybe when you get a phone call or you make a phone call, you decide to stand up. That is movement. Walk, take a break, whether it's a break from court or a break, you can take a break and walk every hour. You can stretch every hour. Just do something, even set a timer every 60 minutes just to even just bend over and touch your toes, frankly. Um, do something where you're not just sitting for hours on end. I'm sure you've all heard this, take the stairs when you can. That's an easy one. Obviously, some of these things, if we've got bad knees, if you've got some kind of other physical issue that stairs would be difficult, there are still things you can do to move, even if it's just your arms, even if it's, again, just rolling your shoulders back, lifting up through your arms, taking a deep, deep breath, and letting your arms fall to your sides. All of these things are the movement that we're looking for. And frankly, movement snacks, as I'm going to call them, they add up over time. So if you can set that timer every 60 minutes, go for it, do it. And you're going to find that movement, you're going to have moved a lot more than you normally do when you're more cognizant of it and more attentive to it. So in 2026 and beyond, you can build a sustainable movement practice. And one of the things that is really helpful is finding what you actually enjoy. Again, it doesn't have to be lifting weights. And in fact, for the longest time, I hated lifting weights. I've gotten better at it because now I have a gym where I know the people and I'm comfortable there. But before that, I hated it and I wouldn't have done it. But I found other things to do. So find something that you enjoy, um, doing, and it may be, like I said, it may be just walking, and it doesn't even have to be that fast to begin with. Brisk walks are better, but just walking, moving your feet, that can be perfect. Start small bites, 15 to 20 minutes 3 times a week. Or this morning coming into work, I heard there was a study about 5-minute brisk walks every day. I mean, whatever you want to do and you feel like is attainable, do it. Don't make it overwhelming. Don't say you're going to be at the gym 5 times a week. I mean, if you've never been to the gym, it's not going to work, and then you're going to feel bad about yourself. Believe me, I feel like I've been down all these roads and have done it myself. So make it something that's attainable, and then schedule it like it is a court appearance. And I love that idea. My husband actually came up with that. He was like, "Oh, judges, you got to be there, you got to do it." And so, yeah, schedule whatever your movement is going to be like it's a court appearance that you have to be there, and change it up. It doesn't have to be if you're doing, 3 times a week, 15 to 20 minutes. It doesn't necessarily have to be 3 walks. You could get some 5-pound weights and do, some very easy, bicep curls, and just very easy things. There's lots of stuff on the internet that you could jump on, and find on YouTube, lots of 15-minute workouts, 10-minute workouts, whatever you want to do. Just keep some variety, because that can help. Unless you really, really love one particular exercise, then you can do that for the 3 times. My biggest thing here is consistency over intensity. Just the first thing you need to do is be consistent. And then if you want to get crazy and run a marathon, go for it. But be consistent first, and then move on to if you want to make things more challenging. This is always the issue. I don't have time, right? So there are barriers to movement. I know. Like, you're too tired in the morning, you're too tired in the evening, you've got to work through lunch, whatever it happens to be. But 15 minutes is 1% of your day. Morning movement can set the tone for your entire day. Lunch movement can energize your afternoon, and evening movement can help you with your sleep. And make it, like I said, like a court appearance. Like, it's not negotiable. You are making an agreement with yourself to get this done. You will thank yourself for it, not me. You will thank yourself for doing it, whatever it is, as small as it is. Okay, so foundation 2, nutrition. So I will tell you that I'm really good at getting out there and moving. That's kind of where my talent lies, if I have a talent at all. Because I have been doing it since I was young. I know the benefits of particularly my mental state, if I'm out moving and doing the things. Where I fall down really badly are our next two foundations. And I'm not a nutritionist here, but again, I'm just kind of telling you stuff that I think we all know. I will acknowledge that they have apparently flipped the food pyramid over. I'm not even going to go there. These are very general ideas in terms of nutrition. You must fuel your brain and body. Food and what you take in directly affects how you think. And many people, even though if you may not even realize it, many people get hangry and have crashes if their blood sugar is not up. And that is going to affect your ability to make decisions. And that's what we do all day long. Steady blood sugar means steady performance. The other thing that I'm terrible about is hydration. Dehydration matters a lot. And so constantly just having some water at your desk, at the bench, super important. And by the way, coffee is not water. That does not hydrate you, even though I love coffee and it's what I drink every day, multiple times a day. But that is not going to hydrate you. Good water. You can make it bubbly water. You can add flavor to it. You can do all sorts of things, but make sure you are drinking and hydrating yourself. In terms of eating for sustained energy throughout the day, you really should have protein with every meal to some degree. If you've got food restrictions and that kind of thing, you can find protein in vegetables and various other items, and you really just a good internet search will give you lots of lists, but protein is really important. Complex carbohydrates over simple sugars. So, essentially stay away from the candy. Also stay away from, processed foods to the extent that it can grow, to the extent that, meat, eggs, cheese, those kinds of things. Those are not processed foods. They're better for you. If it comes in a box, it's typically processed. Fats are not terrible for you. I think that is part of the flipping of that food triangle, but you don't want a whole lot of it, but you also don't want to completely cut them out either, because they make you feel full and they're going to help you kind of balance in terms of overeating versus undereating. As I said earlier, avoid a blood sugar roller coaster. Grab your snacks when you can. And this is kind of the big thing, and this is hard also, is planning ahead for busy days. Trying to make sure that you've got food or snacks that are good for you when you've got a busy court date or a busy few days, that kind of thing. Trying to plan ahead for having the nutrition that you need can be really, really helpful for helping you think through and have that, be able to make good decisions. So I think a lot of us have this afternoon energy slump, avoiding that 2 p.m. slump. I will say that heavy meals tend to make you drowsy. So maybe a lighter lunch would prevent drowsiness. But then if you have a snack available in the afternoon just to kind of maintain that energy. And going back again, staying hydrated is really important. Dehydration, I have learned, also really can mimic fatigue. So when you are super tired in the afternoon, grab a glass of water. That may actually help because dehydration can make you really tired. So also going back to movement, walks, moving, doing something can also help with that energy slump. All right, hydration. I'll just, drink the stupid water. I actually have this sticker on my water bottle because I hate water. But don't underestimate the need for water. Apparently, I learned this in making this presentation. Mild dehydration can impair cognition. Like we've already talked about, keeping water on the bench. Aim for kind of a steady intake all day. And just so you know, although I just realized, that needs to be indented. Coffee doesn't count as hydration, as I've already said. So, all right. talking about our third foundation, sleep, I will say that this is also something I am not very good at, but frankly, it is the foundation for everything else, and really, really should be a non-negotiable. Um, your body function, your physical function, and your mental function really depends on sleep. And for most adults, 7 to 9 hours is optimal. Last night I was finishing this up. It was 11 o'clock. So I think I got maybe 5, 6 hours of sleep last night. So I may not be functioning at my optimal ability right now, but 7 to 9 hours is a long time, but making that time for yourself is really important. Um, and the quality of your sleep is really important. Making sure you're going through all those cycles, the light sleep, the deep sleep, and REM is really important as well. And to the extent that you accumulate debt, I mean, you can try to make it up, but it does impair performance if you've got many nights, sleepless nights, or short on good sleep nights. It will impair your performance until you try to catch that back up. Um, so, what keeps us awake as judges? I think all of you can probably guess, but common sleep disruptors obviously are racing thoughts, right? Maybe, I mean, this can be about cases, it can be about home life, it can be about anything. I made this specific to us because we deal with cases and the things and decisions that we have to make. But obviously, I mean, you may have a really stressful situation at home, and that's going to keep you up. So stress, cortisol, which is something that it's something that your body releases in times of stress, will keep you awake. Obviously, screen time before bed, in a regular schedule, going to bed at 8 p.m. and then going to bed at 11 p.m. and then going to bed at 9 p.m. Try to get onto a regular schedule. And then for many people, caffeine too late in the day is going to keep you awake. And the other thing, and this is may seem semi counterintuitive, but alcohol may help you fall asleep, but A, it's not going to help you stay asleep, and B, it's really going to affect all of those different stages of sleep that you have. I don't know if any of you have like a Garmin watch or an Apple watch or that kind of thing, and you monitor your sleep. But I have, since getting my watch, I've been really cognizant of the evenings when I have alcohol and when I don't. And the difference in my sleep pattern is amazingly amazing. I am shocked. I shouldn't be anymore, but even a glass of wine, how it will change my sleep patterns and the type of sleep that I get. So that is also something just to keep in mind. Obviously, alcohol is something that we can enjoy, but it definitely affects your sleep. Okay, so when I found this image, I was trying to find what creates good conditions for sleep, and I think I put something into Google to find this image, and it came up with all these children's like checklists for going to bed at night. And this was the one that didn't have go potty on it because I thought that would be odd. But all of these other things would be very good sleep hygiene routines and practices, getting ready, having a snack, brushing your teeth, doing some reading, saying goodnight to your loved ones, and then going to sleep. It's important to be consistent when you wake up and when you go to bed and when you wake up. And that actually also goes to weekends. Again, it doesn't mean you have to do it all the time, every day. You don't have to be militant about it, but to the extent that you can make it a habit to go to bed at around the same time and get up at around the same time, that's really good for you and is a good sleep habit. Winding down 30 to 60 minutes before bed, that includes putting away those screens. That includes the television. You can just get in bed, you can grab a book, you can do anything to just get that blue light out of your system. For the 30 to 60 minutes before you go to sleep is really helpful. And then obviously, and this is probably clear, a cool, dark, and quiet room is really best for the best sleeping conditions. So, and don't do work in the bedroom. Oh my gosh. Yeah, leave that for just your kitchen table, if nothing else. And so going back to our racing thoughts, because I feel like that's something that many of us have. That's a function of anxiety and things that a lot of times we just can't control in our mind. And of course, physical activity, keeping that physical activity going is going to impact how tired you are and may kind of quiet some of your thoughts, regardless of how stressful the situation is. So that's always a piece of this. But when you do have those evenings when your mind just won't calm down, there are ways of dealing with those thoughts. And one way is keeping a notepad. If you have this a lot in your life, keeping a notepad next to your bed, jotting down whatever thoughts they are, because you're like, oh, I got to do this, or oh, I need to make that change. Having written it down, you can then let it go because you're not going to forget it. You wrote it down. It's going to be fine. So that's one way to calm those crazy racing thoughts. Another way is exactly what we did earlier, those breathing practices, whether it be the box breathing, whether it be the 4-7-8 breathing. Any of that will calm your nervous system down and allow you just to relax both in your mind and in your body. And one thing that you should try to do is, if you can't get to sleep after about 20, maybe 30 minutes, get up briefly, kind of walk around. Don't look at a computer or a phone or anything, but just kind of reset yourself and then get back into bed. That's another way that might help with that getting to sleep. So, a personal health plan for 2026. As I talked about earlier, start small and build gradually. You can choose one thing to start this week. I think I've given you a lot of options in any of those pillars of wellness to choose from. If you want to try 2 or 3, great, but just start small and choose one thing to try to do or implement this week. And then once you get into a groove of that one thing, add another habit. If that one thing doesn't work out, you can leave it and come back, try a different thing. If walking doesn't work for you, maybe just doing some 10 squats at your desk or something. Find something else that might be better and that you might be able to turn into a habit more easily. Again, this kind of goes back to that consistency over intensity, looking for progress over perfection. This is one of those things where you can, at the end of this week, maybe you can say you went for a walk 3 times for 15 minutes, and that is progress. I think that's perfect. It doesn't, like I said, over perfection, but that's if that's what you need, and if you can check that off, I think that's totally appropriate. And track what works for you. And like I said, and as I've been saying, adjust and adapt as you work through those things. One thing that's really helped me is having some accountability. I had a good friend here who I would run with regularly. Sadly, she moved away, and actually, I don't run nearly as much because I don't have her as kind of my accountability partner. So if you can find someone like that to take those walks with, or maybe even do a lunchtime workout with. I have my colleague just across the way. She does a lunchtime workout every other day, and she invites anybody who wants to join. She turns on YouTube and they do that for the hour over the lunchtime. Another thing you can do is share your goals with your family, friends. Say, this is what I'm trying to do. Then they can come back around and ask you how it's going. You can track your progress really simply. You can do it in your phone. You can do it in a notebook. You can do whatever you want. You can have a checklist. I love checklists. That's a way to do it. The big thing is be compassionate with yourself. It's okay if, it doesn't, you miss a day, or, you don't quite get everything you want to get that week. You eat the cupcake instead of the celery. I mean, we're all human. And I think you really need to be kind to yourself no matter what happens. And celebrate small wins. Like I said, if you get through this week and you've checked everything off, wonderful. And if not, no worries. In terms of these practices and kind of looking at this all holistically, my hope is, and I do believe that these practices will serve you your whole life, whether you're a judge or not. It's going to give you more energy. Obviously, you'll find yourself in better health, and frankly, when you have more energy and you're feeling better, you're going to be a happier person who's more likely to be fun to be around, frankly. It's going to allow you to excel both at work, but really, really importantly at life and with your family and friends. Everyone deserves to feel good. So to kind of wrap up, small, consistent practices can create really big changes. My 3 pillars are movement, nutrition, and sleep. They're foundational to your wellness, and to the extent that you can implement at least a part of one of these pillars, you're doing great. My challenge for you is to start with one change this week and to really be patient and compassionate with yourself as you try to implement these things in your life. So, yeah, so that's, I'm a little bit before the hour, but I was a little worried I wasn't going to take the full hour, and I think I did most of it. So, any of you feel free to contact me. My nickname is Jenna, but everybody always calls me Jennifer in court. But if I know you, then you probably are calling me Jenna, and then I know you're my friend. So feel free to call me Jenna anytime. You can email me, call me, obviously instant message as well. But any questions at all? No? I was super clear and concise.
Exactly.
Can you, I know this is being recorded, which is wonderful. Can you share in that recording, or if there's a way to send the PowerPoint, which is great, would be great too.
Yes, I'm happy to. I'll get it. Well, I can send it directly to you, Kate, but I'll send it to Cece so that if anybody else would like it, I'm happy to provide it. There's the one slide that has all the different kinds of breathing, which I think can be helpful just as a reminder of things to do. So, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't count the number of times in the last few weeks I've simply forgotten to breathe and tally. So thank you.
Well, honestly, if you're not even doing a breathing technique, if you just take a deep breath through your nose and let it all out through your mouth and do that 2 or 3 times, it is incredibly relaxing. It brings you down from wherever you are. I will tell you that there's been one time in the last 3 years that I had to excuse myself. It was a very contentious detention hearing, and I walked into the back and I spent about 5 minutes just kind of bringing myself back to, I think, some regularity in terms of my nervous system, because I was emotional about the case, and I needed to bring myself back to not be emotional, frankly. And so I can't, if there's nothing else you take from this, breathing, just continue to breathe and breathe deeply, and I promise you'll feel better going forward. So, all right. Well,
thank you, Judge.
Yeah,
thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Cece, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Come to yoga in San Antonio.